Hi, and welcome to So Many Books, So Little Time podcast. My name is Jody Stapler. I'm an owner of a publishing company called Willow Moon Publishing, a podcaster, a voiceover artist, and an author. Stories are so important in our lives. And there are so many out there from independent authors and independent publishing companies that we may never find unless we trip over them on accident. So I started this podcast for people who love books and love to read, and to help bring more awareness to the indie books and authors of our time. So stay with me for So Many Books, So Little Time. I am sitting here with Paul Hood in a coffee shop in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, and we are going to talk about his newest book and a little bit about who he is. So he is a playwright, a director, and the author of the new mystery novel, The Time of Their Lives in London. So thank you for joining me today.
Sure, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. A little more than what I've said.
Wow. I started writing early. I started in high school, actually. And from there, it kind of morphed into, I was playing around with different forms of writing. And my first foray into writing was poetry.
Okay.
So I worked on a lot of poems, and I basically kept them to myself, because as a young kid, you don't want your friends to know.
Right, we're a teenage boy. You don't want everybody thinking you're like
sensitive. So I basically am a self-taught writer.
Okay.
I started working on poems, and then I was really into movies as a child. So that's how I spent my summers. I was sitting in a house all day watching movies. I was very introverted, very shy, kind of an insecure kid, so I avoided people a lot.
Yeah.
I still do that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I stayed in, and I just wrote and watched movies and learned about how to develop characters and build stories. And so I took my poems and I started turning them into this is much later in my life, I started turning them into like short stories.
Okay.
And then from that, from having people read my short stories, they would go, well, your dialogue's really good. And so I took that criticism, constructive criticism, and I turned that into I was like, well, maybe I should write screenplays. So from screenplays, I wrote short fiction, and I've done so much. It's like trying to keep the timeline, intact.
Yeah.
Over the last 10 years has been, crazy, because I did this, and then I did that, and then.
Right. Well, that's somehow I find a lot of creative people do that. We have hands in a little bit of everything because there's always an idea going on in our brains. So we, why not try a little bit of everything? Which you have. You've acted.
Yes.
You're
acting.
A director.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, a playwright.
Yes.
And right now you are the. Tell me what you're doing. There's a theater around here that you're doing something.
Okay, I'm doing work I'm actually the artist in residence.
Artist in residence. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the artist in residence for Narcisse Theatre Company.
Okay.
Should I plug the website quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's www.narcissetheatre.org. Check out our website. Our whole season's up. I'm actually about to play Vladimir in Waiting for Godot, and our first production of our season.
Wow.
So we're going big.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm very introverted myself, and it's gotten worse as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
But I've always been a performer and an actress, and people don't get that. They don't understand that, how can you be introverted but yet perform? And you're being someone else.
Yeah.
You're putting on a character.
Yeah.
So,
You're able to channel all of that, all of the things that are going on in your head into someone else.
Absolutely.
It's way more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
how has that helped you with your writing, being able to do that with characterization and becoming a character?
Well, it gives me a chance to explore a lot of the questions I have about existence. I'm a very heady internal type of writer. So I get a chance to, ask those questions that are tough for people to talk about, just in general conversation.
Right.
So, and I can explore it and learn from it, and also, entertain at the same time. It's really cathartic for me.
Right.
Writing, so.
Yeah, and you've had a bunch of plays that have gone on in theaters around here. Tell us a little bit about those.
Okay, my next play is actually going to be done by Narcisse. It's called Kill Keller. It's loosely based on my childhood with my stepfather.
Wow.
And I needed to kind of talk about that because from the outside, people saw the family that, was just like a kind of like a mixed family, stepbrothers, not stepbrothers, but just like a blended family.
Yeah.
And people didn't see like the internal parts that were very, there was a lot of, mental and physical abuse going on in there. And I was afraid to talk about it for years, and now I'm talking about it, in this play.
Right.
And people are really catching on to it. I've let early reads of it have been very positive.
I bet.
Yeah. So.
I think a lot of people deal with that kind of stuff. Everybody, especially in our generation, where there was a facade that we had to keep up. And it's all this other turmoil inside that now that we're adults, we're starting to be able to deal with.
I'm taking the Band-Aid off of this thing early.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Some people it's going to resonate with, but that's what theater does, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good theater is not pretty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I'm not writing
exciting.
Pretty things. I'm not into that.
Okay, so let's then talk about your novel that you just published.
Yes.
The Time of Their Lives in London. It's a mystery, but there's romance in there as well.
There's a little romance in there, yes.
Yeah,
there's a romantic
So tell us
angle.
about that, and what got you into the mystery genre?
It was accidental.
Okay.
I was I was in my early 30s when I wrote this book. So, and you're a young guy and you're trying to figure out life and you're dating. So, I took a lot of the insecurities and experience from trying to find out how I, as a man, how I was supposed to navigate certain situations. So I was like, well, let me take Amber, who's my main character, Amber Jackson, and place her in London and have her have those same kind of searches. Who am I? What kind of person do I want in my life? And then this passport showed up in the story and flipped the whole script, basically. So she got caught up with that, and then there was a prowler on the West End of London, assaulting innocent victims, and it just turned into it just morphed into a whole different story where all these characters kind of connected to everything that was going on around them. Right. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and now when that kind of brings up something, a lot of different writers I talk to, some are they outline it all and they know exactly where they're going, and then others sit down with an idea, but the characters kind of take them where they're going. Is that how?
That's exactly what I did with my earlier fiction.
Yeah.
I still do that with my plays. I use an analogy that Stephen King used in his one of my favorite books on writing, Memoir of the Craft. Have you read that? Yeah, I think all writers have read it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a must read. So he had this analogy where he was in a desert and he finds a stone and starts chiseling away at it and brushing away at it, and then he keeps doing that and it unearths, he excavates this whole idea or story. And I think writing like that for me is more fun. Oh,
absolutely. You don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
It's excitement.
Surprise yourself.
Right.
So
Very
a lot
good.
of surprises came out of Time of Their Lives in London, and I thought it was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, well, there's a stalker, West End stalker,
Yes,
which adds excitement, and then the detective is a cool character.
Yeah.
But you do have Amber, who is from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yes, it's from Mechanicsburg.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you have Vilzen, who is Is he French?
Yes, he's French.
He's French, okay.
He's from
And then
Paris.
we have, remind me of the lady's name.
Ms. Rosenfield.
Yes. And the premise of it is that they've all gone to London searching for something.
Yeah, searching for something, pretty much.
And they all kind of end up in like this weave tale around this passport and the stalker.
Yeah, and the Herald building.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of different, I love connection stories of people's lives that intersect or like pass by each other.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, whole like serendipitous and kismet or whatever.
Yeah.
I love stories like that. So.
Yeah, well, you're getting great reviews.
Thank you.
You are. You're getting great reviews about the story itself. Plus, they love the characters.
Yes.
People are really feeling like they know these people.
Yes.
And I think that's something that's great about your writing is that you are really good at making you feel like, hey, I know that person.
Yeah.
So, she's just like so and so. I know.
Because that's what I enjoy doing. That, like just being here. At Folklore Coffee, plugging the coffee place.
Yeah.
I people watch.
Right.
That's what I do. I watch people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not in like a weird stalker
No.
But I observe conversations. I overhear things and I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I like it. Yeah.
People might think it's a little creepy,
Yeah,
but if you're a performer or a creative person, you don't find it that creepy. I loved when people watch as well. So let's see here. So the story kind of takes this hard turn, and there's a surprising finale to it, but I don't want to let that out. But I've read a couple of the reviews that people are writing, and as a couple of them have said, like at first they were like, what? And then the more they thought about it, they were like, oh yeah.
That's the kind of like writing I like to do. I don't want to do convention. I think my play Kill Keller is probably the most straight conventional style of drama I've written as far as my plays. Everything else is quirky and kind of like goes in different directions.
Right.
I think that's what life is. Life is like that.
Yeah.
You think you're gonna, go this way, and then all of a sudden you get, T-boned in a car, and you're like, you're in a different place. That's a weird analogy, but
I got it.
You get knocked off your axis or your center, and you're in a different area. So, and I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I do too. It's to sit down and read something or even watch something on television where I know exactly what's going to happen is so boring. Like I will sit there and tell my husband what's going to happen, and then it happens, and I'm like, see. And nobody wants to read that. When you sit down to read, you want something to bring excitement and be adventurous.
Exactly. You want to be surprised.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of like Chuck Palahniuk and I love Ed McBain. These are some of my writers that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And Chuck's books, he wrote Fight Club, Choke. They're like really, they have such the styles are different.
Right.
And they're very what's the word I'm looking for? Ethereal and like strange and surreal. There's a surrealness to it. Yeah. So I like that. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Now, like I said, there is some romance in this.
Yes.
Now, would you put this in the mystery romance category? Is it?
Yeah. Well, it's the romance is kind of like it's Amber's whole like it's her ideal, like it's what she wants.
Right.
But as you know, I don't want to spoil it too much.
Right.
Things don't go quite as planned.
Yeah.
Which that's what happens.
Yeah.
You think, I'm going to go abroad and I'm going to meet a French guy. Like, what's more romantic than that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's like that's the fantasy.
Yeah. But, things happen. It just doesn't work out. So,
yeah. So now, where did you come up with your characters? Are these based on people that you know, or are these kind of combinations?
Combinations of like experiences. I base my, and here's an interesting thing I do, and I'm sure a lot of writers do that. They take experiences and things that have happened, and they use those metaphors or those, those facts or whatever, to create a person.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Yeah.
So Amber's the romantic, she wants the idealistic, the idyllic, circumstances. And then there's Miss Rosenfield, who's like, kind of like closed off from she's closed off certain parts of the world to like not deal with what's going on because she's seeing things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just kind of developed my characters from that. The hardest part is coming up with names.
Is that right?
Yeah. People are like, how did you come up with the names of your characters? I'm like, I really don't know. They just kind of come to me.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that it's kind of like they're talking to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Dave Morrell, who wrote First Blood.
Okay.
They made a movie. The adaptation was Rambo.
Okay. Yeah.
He talks about a technique in his book on writing that I actually still use.
Okay.
You kind of have a question and answer session with you and like one of your characters. So your character asks a question, you answer it, or you ask your character a question, vice versa, and it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
That is a fun technique for any young writers out there.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. So,
yeah. That way you get to really know who your character is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So, where can you find this book?
Currently you can find it on a couple of places actually. Amazon.com, and there's Goodreads.com, and also it's on BarnesandNoble.com.
Yeah.
And if you're in Harrisburg, the Harrisburg area, on April 27th, I'll be doing a book signing there.
Perfect.
From 1 to 3.
Okay.
I'd love to meet my readers.
Yeah.
Right? So it'd be nice to.
Now, where can people find out more information about that?
They can go right on the Midtown Scholar website, and also my Facebook page.
Okay.
My writer page. I have my writer Facebook page is Playwright Director Paul Hood.
Okay.
On Facebook. So.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And will you be doing? And now I think I saw that you have another one coming up as well.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's May 4th at Cupboard Maker Books, which is in Enola. And forgive me, I can't remember the address, but if you go on cupboardmaker.com, they'll have the link with the dates and everything.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So definitely want to check out your Facebook page and Goodreads, of course. And I always tell this on the podcast. I'm sure people are so sick of hearing me say this, but if you want it in your local bookstore, just go in, ask the clerk. They will be able to order it in for you.
Exactly.
So and that's how independent writers get known.
Yeah,
so
that's how we get out there.
Yeah. So now, when will the performance that you're acting in be taking place?
That opens May 10th.
Okay.
At HMAC, which is Harrisburg Midtown Arts Center.
Okay.
You can go on harrisburgarts.com or the Narcisse Theatre website to order tickets for it. And we're running for 3 weeks, so May 10th to May 26th.
Okay, nice,
so.
It's always fun to go to the theater in the spring, so it's a great time to go out.
And the venue, we're doing it in what's called the Underground.
Okay.
Which is is basically the basement of HMAC, but it's like turning it into
very
like
artsy.
A performing arts little like a space for performing arts. So,
Very cool. Okay, and what are you working on next? What books? What plays? What are you doing?
I have a play that's going to be done as a stage reading as part of a series.
Okay.
In June, and forgive me, I can't remember the dates, but
that's okay.
I think it's at the end of June. One of my dystopian one-act plays that was done a few years ago.
Okay.
It's called Model 9, which is based off technology and society and how we accept each other.
Yeah.
It's a very strange little play that
Right. Very cool.
Like, so.
Do you see any series coming after like this book? I could see like some of these characters moving on to another book.
I'm considering doing like a Time of Their Lives series, and it takes place in different settings. Very
cool. Very awesome. Okay, well, I look forward to seeing more of those, and I want to thank you so much for talking with me about your book today. Everybody check out Paul Hood on Facebook. It's Playwright Director Paul Hood. And are you on Instagram and Twitter as well?
Yes, I'm on Twitter under Harrisburg Playwright, at Harrisburg Playwright, and my Twitter handle, my Instagram handle is PH Wrote It at Instagram. I think that's
Okay.
yeah.
Something like that, but they
Yeah.
probably can find it from your Facebook page
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that'll be great. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to thank Paul Hood for joining me today and telling me all about himself and his new novel, The Time of Their Lives in London. Make sure you pick up that book and check out his Facebook page at Playwright Director Paul Hood. And I want to thank you for joining me on So Many Books, So Little Time. Let me know what books you're reading, what authors I should interview, and give me your suggestions and comments. If you appreciate our podcasts, books, music, and our goal of helping others fulfill their artistic career dreams, and would like to see it continue for many years to come, please join our Patreon and become a sponsor at Willow Moon Publishing. Make sure you subscribe to So Many Books, So Little Time podcast so that others can find me and all the great indie books and authors that I'll be sharing throughout this podcast. You can join me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at So Many Books, So Little Time podcast, and you can check my website out at jodystapler.com or email us at somanybookspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me, and come back next week when we delve into another story.